Hello, BookTube. I have a little Friday mail for you, starting with a little package that I think I know. I think I know what this is. And if I'm right, it's going to be an extra treat. So let's see. Let's see if I'm right. I have a feeling that this is Steve involved to a greater degree. Let's see. Oh. Oh my. Oh, look at that. Okay. All right. I was right. This is issue number 12 of Weird Mask, the totally fun zine that is put out by Matt at Paperback Junkie, our very own Matt at Paperback Junkie. And the reason why this is so interesting to me is, I mean, I've read every issue of Weird Mask, and it's a wonderful zine, wonderful old-fashioned of the way things used to be, where a person really good at assembling a zine would just do that, and it would be a cheap, pulpy thing like this, and it would be a lot of fun to read and collect. It wouldn't be all that expensive, and the reason why this sticks out is because of the table of contents. The Red Bishop. Chapter 1, by yours truly. Oh, look at that, right next to a Princess of Mars. Boy, oh boy, that's the last time that'll ever happen. The Red Bishop is a historical sword and sorcery fantasy novel that I will be doing in installments in Weird Mask. It is the first time in well over 30 years that I've written science fiction or fantasy for a general audience instead of just a mailing group. And it's currently the only place where you can read my fiction. And it's all in Weird Mask, which has a bunch of other fun stuff too, including a Princess of Mars, which is just great fun. So go to weirdmask.com and order your copies. I'm sure that Matt wouldn't mind if this became really popular. And the Red Bishop will be unfolding installment by installment as the issues of Weird Mask go on. But in addition, Matt also sent me this. Look at this thing, an old Star Trek fanzine. How wonderful. I did not expect this. That's wonderful. This is Spock and Alia. Oh my. I once had a whole box full of these things, all the different kinds of just handwritten stuff. Fans that would just you would adoringly write this stuff out, and then you would bang it out on a manual typewriter and make it nice and clean, and then you would submit it to a PO box, and it would get mimeographed and run off on a cheap zine like this. It shows you the long tradition of these things. It's just a tremendous treat for me to be appearing in a genuine, honest-to-gosh fanzine. So there you go. The first thing out of the gate is by yours truly. The Red Bishop, Chapter 1. So now we'll move on. We'll move on to the boring official books. Let's see what this first one is. I'm going to let her destroy a fanzine. What have we got here? Oh my. Okay. Alright, so this is a paperback original by Jenny Rogneby. Comes out in February, and it is By Any Means Necessary, a Leona Lindberg mystery, a thriller. In the highly anticipated sequel to the internationally best-selling Swedish thriller Leona, the Die is Cast. Okay, so this author has a penchant for boring cliches and titles. Detective Leona Lindberg, still reeling from her last earth-shattering case, is back on the job. Of course, no police department would have her back on the job if she was still reeling, but that's okay. Leona, a completely corrupt detective who plays by her own rules, is in above her head with financial and personal issues, but when a high-stakes terrorism case arises, she is mysteriously asked to interview the suicide bomber who survived his own explosion in front of Stockholm's Parliament building. Why Leona, when this terrorism case should clearly be earmarked for Sweden's security service? And was this man a lone wolf or part of a group? Will there be a more heinous axe to follow? With one foot on each side of the law, Leona mounts a special operation of grand proportions, and the higher the risk, the higher the reward. And the author was born in Ethiopia, in Ethiopia, but was adopted into a Swedish family when she was a girl. And she has worked as a criminal investigator for the Stockholm Police Department before she wrote her first Leona book. I haven't read the first one, I don't think, but I'll gladly read this one. A paperback original. I like those. I'm hoping that the book isn't as choked with cliches as the pub sheet. But let's move on. All right, so we've got a zine and a thriller. Tweet, tweet. Ooh, oh, great, fantastic. All right, I requested this. I think this is going to get a lot of notice. I really do. This comes out in late April, and it is by Sarah Rose, and it's called DDay Girls. Look at that cover. Isn't that awesome? In 1940, a year into World War II, Britain was locked in a battle for its and possibly Europe's continued existence. Germany seemed unstoppable. The Americans refused to help, and with the Nazis' entry into Paris, Britain was the only country in Europe left to fight off Hitler. Winston Churchill needed a way to infiltrate the continent. But with so many soldiers at war, he had run out of men. So when he created a new secret agency, the Special Operations Executive, SOE, he turned to an untapped source for its elite spies, women. DDay Girls by Sarah Rose tells the largely unknown story of the women who engaged in clandestine warfare in enemy territory to pave the way for the Allied victory on D-Day. I don't know what that largely unknown part is, but Churchill believed the spark of resistance was waiting to be ignited on the continent. He just needed an organization to fuel, fund, and arm it, which is where SOE came in. Fantastic. Okay. Great. So this comes out in late April. I hope to review it. That's just fantastic. That sounds fantastic. All right, so let's move on here. The next one is tiny, but we no longer fear tiny packages on this channel. If it's a slim volume of poetry, we'll live with that. What have we got here? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, this is a tiny little thing. Comes out in June. It's by Adrian Tinniswood, whose work I usually like. It's The Royal Society and the Invention of Modern Science. Tiny little thing. In the mid-17th century, leading cosmologists still believed the sun orbited the Earth. Doctors thought human health was based on the balance between four humors, and a university education was grounded almost exclusively in the classics, with a heavy emphasis on Aristotle. It was into this world that the Royal Society of London was born with a novel mission, advancing knowledge through experimentation. And this is Adrian Tinniswood. He's done a whole bunch of books, some of which I liked, others of which I thought were a stretch. And books like this comes out in early June, and books like this always give me pause, because this is, 2 weeks' work, and not substantially larger than an expanded Wikipedia article on the Royal Society. So you have to wonder what you're getting with a book like this. Is this a contract that Adrian Tinniswood just had sitting around on his desk, and I'll get away from the wife and kids, I'll book a hotel room in Bournemouth, and I'll just bash this thing out? Or did he care about it? Basically, is what I'm asking. Is this a trot, or did he care about it? And will there be insights that will be interesting that I wouldn't get in an encyclopedia entry on the Royal Society? So I guess I have to read it to find out. I confess the end result is often unpredictable. I often can't tell whether or not I'm going to get a trot or the real thing, so I pretty much have to read them. I don't mind. It's kind of my job. So let's move on. Let's see what this next one is. Your mouth is covered in paper. Oh, baby bean, you're making a mess. Oh, great. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, Bean, I have to interrupt you. Did I give you a pub sheet by mistake? No, I did not. Okay. No pub sheet on this, but I think this is May. I think this is going to get widely reviewed. This is a second copy for me. Very lovely thing. This is Furious Hours by Casey Sepp. Murder, Fraud, and the Last Trial of Harper Lee. This is all about Harper Lee. The stunning story of the true crime book that Harper Lee worked on obsessively in the years after To Kill a Mockingbird. Reverend Willie Maxwell was a rural Alabama preacher accused of murdering 5 of his family members for insurance money in the 1970s. With the help of the savvy lawyer, he escaped justice for years until a relative shot him dead at the funeral of his last victim. Despite hundreds of witnesses, Maxwell's murder was acquitted, thanks to the same attorney who had previously defended the Reverend. Sitting in the audience during the vigilante's trial was Harper Lee, who had traveled to from New York City to her native Alabama with the idea of writing her own In Cold Blood, the true crime classic that had helped her friend Truman Capote research 17 years earlier. Lee spent a year in town reporting and many more years working on her own version of the case. Now the author brings this story to life, from the shocking murders in the courtroom drama to the racial politics of the Deep South. And you can see why it would be on everybody's mind. It wasn't just Harper Lee. In the wake of In Cold Blood, everybody was thinking about doing that kind of surrealistic, creative nonfiction and getting a runaway hit. The problem is you can't duplicate runaway hits. Lightning can't be caught in a bottle. So you can do all you want along the same lines, but you can't guarantee that anything like it will run away the way In Cold Blood did. And obviously the book never came of anything. Nothing ever came of it. But this is the author's first book. And it probably represents a huge amount of research. I have a feeling this is going to attract a lot of people. Get a lot of review attention, which would certainly be wonderful for the author on her first time at bat. That's great. And then we have the last book that I've got to clean up this room, which is, oh my god, it's disgraceful. But this last one is fairly big. What could this be? Oh my! Oh goodness gracious! Oh my! Oh my! All right, this comes out in April. Oh god, this is by Tim McIntosh Smith. It's enormous. Do we have a page count here? 650 pages? Good lord. This is The Arabs, a 3,000-year history of the peoples, tribes, and empires. Look at the size of this thing. Please. And also how pretty it is. That's an odd cover design, but I like it very much. This kaleidoscopic book covers almost 3,000 years of Arab history. The author begins his narrative more than 1,000 years before Muhammad and focuses on how Arabic, both spoken and written, has functioned as a vital source of shared cultural identity over the millennia. Oh my. You know I want to review this, and I want to review it for at least a partially Arab audience. Fortunately, I have such a venue, and I'm going to pitch the heck out of this to my editor in the hopes of being able to write about it in April. That's wonderful. I'm actually a regular book reviewer for an English language newspaper in the United Arab Emirates. And this is perfect for them. Absolutely perfect. So I'm hoping I get a yes. That would be great. I will pitch it everywhere though, because this is, I confess, it's kind of a case of art imitating life, because when I started writing for the National in Abu Dhabi, I wasn't all that up on books about the Arabic world. Not really. I mean, I read the important ones that came across to the Western world, but I didn't go out of my way. And because, my editors there have been wonderful. They have let me write about all kinds of things, from Alexander the Great to Rumpole. But there is obviously a regional interest in Arab books, and so I have written about a lot of them over the last 11, 12 years. And boy, oh boy, have I developed a taste for it. It's an absolutely... I'm glad when I see a new volume like this, and not just because I'm thinking this is a perfect match for a venue that I have. It's because they fascinate me. They really do. So this is great on a number of levels. That's wonderful. All right. Well, that's our mail for now. I don't think we're going to have any more mail today. We have The Arabs, a great big new book on the Arabs, on a narrative history of 3,000 years. That's great. Then we have Furious Hours, a debut nonfiction work trying to recreate Harper Lee's fascination with a true crime story. I imagine that story will get a narrative of its own in this book. But also we'll get to know a lot about Harper Lee, the working author, which is great, because that person tends to be obscured by Harper Lee, the writerly saint. So all to the good, every aspect of it. DDay Girls, another work of popular history that I think is going to get widely covered, and I'm hoping to do some of that coverage myself. Any Means Necessary, a Leona Lindbergh thriller, and The Royal Society by Adrian Tindasberg, a little thing that looks like a potted history of the Royal Society, but we'll see. It could have a sting in the tail. I certainly hope it does. And, of course, last but not least, 2 fanzines. A fanzine for Star Trek, long before there were Star Trek books, long before there was anybody had any idea that you could get a contract to write a Star Trek novel. These things were appearing, hundreds of them. Yours truly might have even been in some of them. Oh, but under a pen name. Whereas Weird Mask is yours truly appearing under his own name. I'm writing a historical sword and sorcery fantasy epic called The Red Bishop. Sign up to Weird Mask so you never miss an installment. And that's it. That is our mail for today. I'll wrap this up, and we have plenty more to talk about, so I will be back. Now I have to clean up after my little bean. Thank you, BookTube.